All right, what is going on, guys? Happy Saturday. We've got a massive slate everywhere. We got 9 NBA games. We got 82 college basketball games. We've got 3 college football playoff games. We've got 2 NFL games. It's a beautiful day if you're a sports fan. So we're going to dig into this. It's going to be a long video probably, so use the timestamps down below. Go where you want to go. Like the video. Comment with your favorite plays down below. Subscribe to the channel, and we're going to be doing a ladder challenge in the Discord. We started that yesterday. We hit day 1, and we've got 2. So we're combining with this massive slate. We're combining days 2 and 3 today. All of those bets have already been posted in the Discord. Free to join. Link is down below. Come join the community here that we're trying to build. Really good community so far. So. Anywho, let's get into this wonderful slate, talk about NBA, NFL, and college football. So we'll start with the Lakers and the Kings. We're going to move quick through this. In this spot, Lakers beat the Kings last time. Now the Kings on their home court. I want to say the Lakers were in Sacramento last time too. That said, Sacramento just looked like they didn't give a damn. So I think they come out with a little more fire today. So I like the Kings. I don't know if I like them at -5.5, but that would be where I would go. Definitely lean towards that over 227.5. Heat and the Magic, 2 good teams defensively. We see that in the over-under of 209.5. Actually like the under 209.5. Give me the Heat +3. Magic at home. I mean, they've been good, but not really scaring me a whole lot right now, to be honest with you. In terms of players out, let's see if there's anything crazy here in terms of injuries. This line seems awfully low, in my opinion. Getting Miami +3 feels like a gift. Jimmy Butler's a game-time decision. Jalen Suggs is expected to play today, likely to play. Still no Banchero, still no Franz Wagner. Yeah, give me the Heat +3. Jazz and the Nets. This is a game no one wants to see, if I'm being honest. This is a terrible game. I don't even want to pick a winner, to be honest with you. Give me Brooklyn -2.5, but ugly game. Grizzlies and the Hawks. This one should be a very fast-paced game. We see an over-under of 241.5. I like the over 241.5 in this. Atlanta just does not play D. There should be a ton of transition points in this game. Give me Memphis -1.5. Just the better team at the end of the day, but should be a very entertaining game to watch. Boston Celtics and the Bulls. We see another high line. Bulls, they beat Boston the other day, so a lot of rematches from just a couple of days ago. I don't take Boston with this big of a lead. 11.5 is just too much to me. I would lean towards the under 244.5. Bulls played at a really quick pace. Boston does too, but I just don't think they're going to make a ton of shots. It was a very sloppy game the other day. I think it'll probably be much the same today. In terms of injuries, nothing major. Giddey's a game-time decision for Chicago. But other than that, you got Porzingis, you got Tatum. So they got the gang together. Horford's not on the injury report anymore. Yeah, just fade for me, just under or pass. But with 9 games, I wouldn't want to touch this game. Knicks and the Pelicans, we're getting Knicks -8.5 going up against Pelicans at home. Pelicans at home, not bad. That said, this Knicks team's been absolutely rolling. Cat has been on an absolute tear. Pelicans, we've just seen them struggle, man. Struggle to shoot. They just have not looked great. Still the same guys are going to be out. So, yeah, I mean, I think 8.5 is a decent amount, but at the same time, the Pelicans suck. So give me the Knicks -8.5. Lean towards the under 225.5. Pretty slow-paced teams here. 76ers and the Cavs. We saw Joel Embiid come back. By the way, we didn't recap. We went 4-1 in the NBA yesterday. That was good. LaMelo did not play. So the only thing that hooked us was Oubre over 5.5 rebounds. He ended up at 5 after having 3 in the first quarter. So that was a kick. But other than that, really good day. 76ers are going to be without Embiid today. He will definitely not be playing today. So I think that's why we see this over-under or the spread the way it is. I think it's a little too high. I would lean Cleveland -10.5. A lean towards that over 219. Maybe look at a Cavs team total over or a 76ers team total under. One of those could be hitting, but I'd lean more towards the Cavs team total over. All right, we've got the Wizards and the Bucks. Bucks -11.5. I like this. I think it's a good spot. Bucks are playing a back-to-back. Let's see if Lillard's playing. He did not play last night. He is not playing again today. So that will change things. Giannis will have to step up. But, man, without Lillard, oof. Might be a good spot to take Washington, but this is a fade game for me. It's too high. It's just too high on the other side. And I don't trust the Wizards enough to cover 11.5. Don't necessarily trust the Bucks to cover 11.5. So fade for me. Golden State and Minnesota here coming down the stretch of games. Golden State +3 going up against Minnesota -3. Man, Golden State, some of the worst shooting I've ever seen. Steph Curry did not make a field goal last game. They need to bounce back. They got blown out by Memphis. They were up 50 at like halfway through the fourth quarter. Give me Minnesota -3 on their home court. I still think they're going to try to work to see how the Schroeder rotation goes. So they've got some things they're trying to work out. And then you've got the Draymond Green and the Looney thing at the center position. So they're kind of messing with the rotations a little bit. I think they'll continue to do that tonight. Portland Trailblazers and the Spurs. Portland +6.5. That's it's pretty low for them. We usually see them very, very close to double digits, if not double digits. So Spurs -6.5 feels like a pretty good bet here. Clippers and the Mavs. This is a rematch of the other night. I would assume, Luka's still out. So no Luka, no Kawhi Leonard, no Trey Mann. I think Norman Powell has another good night. We were on his PRAs the other night, and that cashed with ease. I don't mind that again today. I think Harden should have a pretty decent night. I would look at PJ Washington rebounds without Luka out. Honestly, haven't looked at that. So I'm going to take a peek. If that's 7.5, I would definitely bang it. It's probably 8.5 after the other day, though. Gets a little sketchier. We were on Gafford rebounds in that game, and he sucked for us. So not going back to that well. All right, Detroit Pistons and the Suns wrapping up the night. Phoenix -6. It's kind of a low line going up against Detroit. Really low line. We see that because Devin Booker's out. So no Devin Booker. Ivy should be back for Detroit. Isaiah Stewart's still out. Not a huge deal. He's just more the backup center to Jalen Duren. That said, 6 against this Detroit team, little low. Phoenix at home. So it's almost trappy. I would almost lean Detroit +6. It just feels like an absolute trap. This line should be much higher, even without Booker. So I'm going to go Detroit +6 here. Although the NBA has been wild in terms of picking money lines, I would highly avoid it, to be honest. All right, let's get into the bread and butter. I'm excited, man. Let's talk about the NFL, and then we'll get to college. So 2 games on the card today. We've got the Texans going up against the Chiefs. The Chiefs are -3.5. I think it's going to be a fairly tight game, to be honest with you. I don't think either team's going to have a ton of success running the ball. Both teams are really good against the run. What they do give up is passing yards. So I think the QB's huge factor today. So you give me Mahomes versus CJ Stroud, it's a pretty big mismatch there. Stroud just hasn't looked super sharp lately. He's just been missing some throws. I just don't like the way he's trending. So give me Kansas City in this one, -3.5. I would bump it down. I would take the 3 and then mess with the over-under. I do like the over in this game. So weather's going to be, it's going to be like 30s, pretty clear. So for this time of year, that's not bad. Next game on the card, Steelers and the Ravens. This one should be a great one. This is a epic AFC North matchup here. We see Baltimore -7. It's kind of the same thing. I don't think either team's going to be able to run the ball a ton. That said, Derrick Henry's rush line's at like 88, 89. He hasn't been utilized a ton lately, so I didn't put it on the card, but I like his under rushing attempts. If you can get it at 18.5, I do think there's some value there. He hasn't scored a touchdown in 3 games, so, there's that. Steelers on the road, man. It is a system play to take the Steelers with the points on the road. That said, this Baltimore team has just been so explosive. I kind of have shades to the Pittsburgh Bengals game where it just became an absolute offensive shootout. Baltimore's pass defense is pretty bad, but they're not as bad as the Bengals. So you're giving me Lamar over Russell Wilson. Give me Baltimore -7 in this with a lean towards the under 44.5, actually. It's going to be pretty damn cold there. It's going to be in the low 30s, high 20s. So cold weather game. I think we'll see better defense out of Baltimore today. We really haven't seen Pittsburgh be able to run the ball a ton. They do volume, but they don't get yards. So you could look at Najee Harris over his rush attempts, but after last week when you only rushed the ball 6 times, a little hesitant to go to that. So that's your NFL. All right, college football. I'm pumped for college football. All right, first game on the card, SMU and Penn State. So I don't necessarily trust Penn State. Being an Ohio State fan, I've watched a lot of Penn State. They've got a good defense. I'll give them that. Their defense is really good. SMU, let's see, Penn State's 7th in terms of points allowed. SMU is 28th. So SMU is giving up about 21 points a game. Penn State about 16 and a half. In terms of passing yards, Penn State's done a pretty good job of limiting passing yards, whereas SMU is not. They're giving up about 233 passing yards a game. What SMU does do well ties back to Penn State's strength, which is rushing yards. So they're 5th in terms of least rushing yards allowed. Penn State is 9th. So we know Penn State likes to rush the ball. They're averaging over 200 rushing yards a game, whereas SMU, they like to fling it. So they like to throw the ball. They are 26th in terms of passing yards per game. So defensively, it lines up really well for Penn State. I think that's why we're seeing this line between 7.5 and 8. It's kind of jumping. I think if you can get 7.5, I do like Penn State minus 7.5 in this spot playing at home. It's going to be a very cold game. It's going to be in the 20s. I want to say winds around 10 miles an hour. Pretty negligible effect on the score, but Penn State at home, yeah, it's just, I think there's going to be a mismatch, to be honest with you. If we look at strength of schedule, though, ironically, SMU's got a better strength of schedule. So that is kind of interesting, but we saw them go down really bad to Clemson. I just don't think they can play with Penn State, in my opinion. So that's where I lean on that one. Next game, Clemson and the Longhorns. I don't necessarily trust Ewers a ton, if I'm being honest, but what I do trust is this Texas defense. It is a stout defense. They are 2nd in scoring. They are 1st in passing yards allowed, 13th in rushing yards allowed, 1st in yards per play, 1st in turnovers created, 14th in sacks, 10th in tackles for losses. So it is a very stout defense going up against a very mid defense in Clemson. Pretty much middle of the pack in everything, pretty much 40th to 70th. They're okay in turnovers. That's really about it. Third down conversions, they're tied for 39th. That's one of their best stats. So I just don't think defensively they can hang with Texas in this spot. And then offensively, they've done decent. They're 17th in terms of passing yards, 42nd in the rush. Very comparative. On the offensive side, they are fairly equal to Texas, but I just think the defense is too much. I think Texas is able to create some turnovers. So I like the minus 13.5 for Texas here in this spot. And I would lean towards the over 50.5. First game in the Penn State SMU, I'd probably lean towards the under 52.5. Just my opinion there. And then last game on the card here, Tennessee and the Buckeyes. So I am highly biased in this situation. I am an Ohio State fan. I admit it. I am no doubt heavily biased in my read here. But when I just kind of look at it, apples to apples, this Ohio State defense is really good. Number 1 in scoring, averaging 10.9 a game. We look at strength of schedule. It is a massive difference in strength of schedule. Ohio State is 32nd in strength of schedule. Tennessee is 113th in terms of their strength of schedule. Going back to the defensive side of the ball, Ohio State 2nd in passing yards allowed, 7th in rushing yards allowed, 2nd in yards per play, 5th in QB hits. We go to the other side of the ball for Tennessee. Good defense, 8th in rushing yards allowed. So I think they may be able to limit the run. So they're pretty much even in the rushing yards, 17th in passing yards allowed. So all in all, I mean, it's been a good defense, but you got to look at who they've played too. They've definitely had a weaker schedule compared to Ohio State. On the offensive side of the ball, this is where it gets a little scary. Will Howard, that Michigan game left a bad taste in a lot of Buckeye fans' mouths. They played a very conservative game, so we'll have to see Will Howard air it out a little bit. I mean, they're playing at the shoe. It's a huge advantage for Ohio State, in my opinion. And if we just kind of look at the last 5 games for both of them, they're both 4-1. Tennessee lost to Georgia 17-31, but they've had a pretty soft schedule coming in here. We look at the last 2 games. They played UTEP, where they won 56-0. Then they played Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt's been a somewhat of a surprise team, right? They've played pretty decent, but they beat them 36-23. So the Buckeyes coming off this loss to Michigan, I just like it. I like the bounce back factor. They played Indiana prior to that, beat them 38-15. So I think it's a great spot to take Ohio State at home -7. And that's where I'm at with that one. So let's give the best bets here and get you guys on your way, because this video is getting a little long. All right, so all right, we'll start with the NBA here. So only 4 plays. I do plan on posting some more plays in the Discord later. I just, it was more of a time issue. So Ben Simmons under 8.5 assists. I think this is one too high. I think he ends up with 7 or 8. He's only hit this line in one of his last 10 games. Obviously, Dennis Schroeder being in the lineup impacted that. So without Schroeder, his assists will go up. This just feels like a lot. Going up against Utah, I know they give up a lot of assists, but even for Ben Simmons, this is a pretty hefty line. So I like his under here. Going right back to the well we went to last night. Give me Giannis over 11.5 boards. He's over this in 3 straight games. He's definitely got that fire to win. So I like them to get a lot of rebounds early against Washington. Give me Cat over 13.5 rebounds. If it's 14.5 on your books, I still like it. I mean, he has been on an absolute tear. I don't mind his rebounds plus assist. I think that's at 17.5 probably on most books. Hell, he might get that in rebounds alone. The only thing that's scary here is a potential blowout with almost a double-digit point spread. That said, Tibbs don't really give a damn. He keeps his starters in real deep. So I like him in this spot. Last play in the NBA, Cade Cunningham over 14.5 rebounds plus assists. You can get this on BetMGM. It's 15.5 on most books. Still don't mind it at 15.5, given a 6-point spread here. He's over this in 8 of his last 10, and he's over this in 15 of his last 20. So like the spot here. Let's go college football. So we're going to pair a couple things together. Give me SMU plus 14, and I'll take under 57.5. So both of those are alt lines. I think SMU is able to keep it somewhat tight, right? I think Penn State is the better team, but I can see Penn State winning by about 10. That's kind of where I got them, 9.5, 10. Next one's going to be kind of a weird one. It's Clemson over 1.5 touchdowns. I do think they get over 2 touchdowns. And then Texas -7. So it's an alt line on Texas. Pair those two together, you get plus 178. It's beautiful value. I love that. The weather's going to be really good down there. It's going to be low 60s. So I do think there's some scoring in that game. And then give me Ohio State -7. Not messing around with the line there. That's just straight at -112. So that's what I like in that spot. And then NFL. Give me the Chiefs -2.5 and take the over 35.5. I do like the full game over. I just got a weird feeling about this. I think it's going to come down to a game-winning field goal. Chiefs have just been winning by some weird, janky stuff lately. Obviously, we got Patrick Mahomes, who's got the high ankle sprain, which I feel like every year he's got that. But good spot here to get a plus money play. DeAndre Hopkins over 3.5 receptions. I think he's got a beautiful matchup today. I think he should have a huge impact today. So taking that, give me Dalton Schultz under 3.5 receptions at -120. I think we're seeing the 3.5 because Cade Stover's out. So I like him to go under his line here. Justice Hill over 2.5 receptions at -120. Also don't mind his over in receiving yards. And then give me Rashad Bateman over 2.5 receptions. Same thing. Don't mind his receiving yards either. And then last play, Russell Wilson over 29.5 passing attempts. I just don't think they have a ton of success with the run game. It's the one thing Baltimore does do well on, and they will give up some passing yards. So I think Wilson will have to pass today because he'll be playing from behind most likely. So like that spot. Didn't put anything for anytime TDs, but Celine's I have would be Nico Collins. I like Mark Andrews. He's had a touchdown in 3 straight games, and you can get that at plus 210. You can go Najee Harris at plus 150. Derrick Henry's really juiced at -190, and he hasn't had a touchdown in 3 games. So you can look at that 2 ways. He's either super due or he's not going to get anything. So to me, if you're going to take Derrick Henry, it's like you got to play 2+ touchdowns to get value. And then Pat Freiermuth over a touchdown, over a half a touchdown. That's plus 300. He's had 3 straight games with a touchdown, and there's no George Pickens today. So I think Freiermuth should be targeted a little bit more in the red zone. So those are all the plays I like, guys. Like I said, give the video a thumbs up. Comment down below if you want to join the ladder challenge. The Discord link is down below. You missed day 1, but you can still get day 2 where we have 2 plays in that. So thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll catch you in the next video.